Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you all who joined us for the first day had a restful evening. We're really excited to be here for the second day. So today we're focusing on monitoring and data systems, as well as early warning systems and cooling interventions, and really focusing on actions cities can take. So without much more of an introduction, I would like to hand it off to my colleague Matthew Perkins, who will begin session 5. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good to have you back for our second day. We're very pleased to be focusing on these practical solutions in today's sessions. To start off this session 5, we'd like to give the floor to Dr. Jayardina to give us the introductory presentation for RHYMES. Dr. Jayardina, are you ready to proceed?
Yeah.
Sounds great. Please go ahead.
Okay. Could you please load my presentation? Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. So I'm going to speak about how urban heat monitoring and climate information system can support early warning, practical decision making, and coordinated actions at the city level. Next, please. Yeah, we are seeing the clear increase in heat waves globally in terms of frequency, intensity, and duration. Especially in urban areas, this risks further amplified by urban heat island effects, where build-up environment trap heat, especially at night, reducing relief for the population. Urban heat island effects where city experience higher temperatures compared to surrounding. This is caused by different factors such as heat absorbing nature of the urban construction materials and dense arrangement of the tall buildings, limiting airflow and heat produced by the various human activities. Um, when we have prolonged heat plus humidity, we can experience this heat stress. Sometimes that increase mortality. When we consider the vulnerability to heat, it's uneven. So especially age, elderly community and community with different chronic illnesses, they are more vulnerable for the heat related illness. And when we consider occupation, especially people who working outdoor activities, doing outdoor activities, especially farmers, construction workers, athletes, they are more vulnerable, they are more exposed to this heat when we consider the occupation. And social economic conditions also impact, especially when we have poverty. So their housing arrangements may trap the heat inside the house, and so they also experience this heat stress. Heat waves can trigger public health emergency and disrupt health services, water, power, and urban systems. Labor productivity and livelihood may decrease. Labor productivity will decrease, and it will impact the livelihood also. With especially with changing climate, we can expect more and more extreme heat waves. Especially if we consider this year in India, they experienced first heat wave 25 days in advance compared to the climatology. So we can say that with the changing climate, we have to prepare for this, especially heat waves and heat stress conditions. So cities can use climate and meteorological information. It can monitor urban heat risk and strengthen early warning, and supporting timely coordinated decision making and actions. When we consider the climate change projections, these projections inform how to the long-term planning and resilience activities. Next, please. So when we consider the monitoring of temperature, so there are meteorological parameters like 2-meter temperature. And in addition to that, like I mentioned earlier, when we have heat combined with humidity, we experience heat stress. And so for that, we need humidity. We can get it from relative humidity and vapor pressure. And wind also very important part, and radiation, short wave as well as long wave radiation. In addition to that, satellite derived land surface temperature also important parameter. There are different forecast products. We have like single model run, we call it deterministic forecast. And usually we go this for the short range forecasting up to 3-4 days. And in addition to that, we have ensemble forecast. That means instead of one forecast, we use different initial conditions to develop maybe 100 forecasts simultaneously. From that, we can get probabilistic forecast. For example, like if a city's area is going to experience above 40-degree temperatures in next few days, so how many models predict that one? So it's kind of like a 70% probability, 60% probability, because in forecast we have some uncertainty. To understand the uncertainty, this probabilistic forecast and getting by the ensemble forecast is very important. So these are like short range forecast and medium range forecast up to 15 days. When we need, if we want to go for more planning and preparedness activities, we need like higher lead time. For that, we can get this S2S, means seasonal to sub-seasonal forecast, from 2 weeks to maybe 6 weeks forecast we can get right now. In addition to that, we have seasonal forecast, and for the especially for resilience building and planning, we need what will happen in future based on different emission scenarios. So this long-term climate projections is very useful for long-term planning, policy development, helping cities anticipate future heat risk, and guided resilience urban design, strengthening adaptation strategies. In addition to that, because temperature is not only the factor which affects heat stress, so there are different factors influencing heat stress. So recently, some agencies, they developed these thermal comfort indices. Uh, they have developed 4 common this thermal comfort indices. Universal Thermal Climate Index, UTCI, is very common one. We will discuss that more in detail in next slide. And wet bulb global temperature, heat index, and humidex. Heat index and humidex, they use temperature and humidity. And the Universal Thermal Climate Index and wet bulb global temperature, they use additional parameters, wind and radiation, in addition to normal temperature and humidity. And these, especially this Universal Thermal Climate Index and WBGT, are more useful for people, for the identify the heat risk for the elderly community, different vulnerable communities, as well as people who work outside. Compared to the rainfall forecast, temperature forecast is much reliable. Model skill is much higher, and usually we can predict well 10 days in advance. UTCI also have that skill up to 10 days when they have like ensemble predictions. But some skills limited due to the uncertainty from wind and radiation, especially if we consider temperature. Temperature scale is much higher at present. Next, please. Yeah, these are the thermal comfort indices. Actually, this is ECMWF, European Center for Medium Range Forecast. They developed these indices still at the experimental level. But if you log into their websites, you can get the forecast up to next 7 days. So this is the forecast for today at 3 p.m. In our Asian, South Asian time, Colombo and Delhi time. So we can see if we consider the humidex, like I mentioned earlier, that also use temperature and vapor pressure for the humidity, and they develop this humidex. It also gives us some indication of field like temperature, and in heat index also they use temperature and humidity to develop this index. And so it shows like it has given some categories based on the thresholds, humidex start with little discomfort, some discomfort, great discomfort, and dangerous. Right now, southern part of South Asia experiences great discomfort, especially today afternoon. And if we consider heat index, they also have four categories like caution, extremely caution, danger, and extreme danger. Some areas, especially like you can see South East India experiencing danger today, and other extremely caution level. So these are categories, universal categories which apply for global whole. Next, please. So these are the two indices which is very useful for the to get the identify the risk for vulnerable communities as well as people who work outdoor, global wet bulb temperature, and the UTCI. So this in UTCI we can use for both heat stress as well as cold stress, and wet bulb global temperature for the heat stress. So right now in South Asia, you can see they experience this moderate risk, but in UTCI, it shows very strong heat, especially over southern India and parts of India and Sri Lanka. Next, please. Yeah. In addition to that, there are another very important prediction that is called extreme forecast index for the temperature. So this is one example for 2022 in European heat wave. So the your left hand side, we can see the prediction given by 6 days prior to that heat wave, and so which is very useful because it gives it gives index, and when the index is above 6 we can expect some unusual conditions. When the index is above zero 0.8, that means we can expect some extreme weather conditions. So for the temperature, if it's positive, that means we can expect some heat wave. This is based on 2-meter temperature, and this extreme forecast index is available for other rainfall and other parameters also, and usually it gives very good indication about the possible risk related to these weather conditions. Next, please. So in addition to that, there are a lot of available websites where you can go identify the long-term climate change projections. This is two very important websites. One is IPCC Interactive Atlas. Other one is the Copernicus Interactive Climate Atlas. In addition to temperature, so they have given different indices. Like here in this IPCC interactive actors, we can see a number of days above 35 degrees when the temperature if we have like the 2-degree temperature increase compared to the pre-industrial level. Right now we are very close to 1.5. Near future, if we are not limiting the if we are not mitigating the greenhouse gas emissions, we can experience this type of above 35 degrees a number of days. Most parts of South Asia, Africa, even in Middle East and Southeast Asia. This Copernicus Interactive Atlas provide this graph how this number of days above 40 degree that is also based on 2 degree variation from the pre-industrial level. And below that, in the right hand side, it shows heat wave frequency for Colombo under two emission scenarios, RCP 4.5 and 8.5. So we can see up to 2030, we are not experience much heat wave, but after 2030, sharp increasing trend can be expect for the heat wave frequency in Colombo. So this type of long-term projections are very important to identify hotspots as well as uh, how we can mitigate the aggravated impact of heat waves, especially to take necessary action to prevent preparedness and community outreach to saving lives, as well as long-term planning, expanding green canopy, green space, water bodies, and effective cross-government emergency management, which can save lives and keep community healthy. Next, please. Yeah. So in previous, actually, usually we give like threshold based forecast, but we are now moving towards impact based forecasting. When we consider the heat related impact based forecasting, is especially important to identify. We need to go from threshold based to impact based forecasting using impact tables. Here it shows when we have like uh, heat waves, how it will impact health, agriculture, and water in different terms. For example, like for health, considering severity, we can categorize into very low, minor, significant, and severe. So based on the different thresholds, we can convert this threshold into impacts. When we consider the agriculture, we can consider the spatial extension and the location. If it's like considering smaller area or the larger widespread reduction is crop yield will be severe. And water availability also related to high temperature depending on the duration and recovery time. So if it's long term, if we have long-term heat waves, then we can experience long-term water shortage also. So this type of we have to convert that temperature indices, like I mentioned earlier. Now there are different temperature indices. From the thresholds, we can convert to the impact table, and then from the impact table we can provide more actionable information for the sectors, stakeholders, and general public. Next, please. Yeah, how that climate and monitoring systems can help in city level. First, we can use that long-term climate data to identify risk areas and vulnerable within that area. If we have that vulnerable data, then we can identify the vulnerable communities, and then we have to identify who and where the risk highest, high risk groups and hotspots. Then like based on these thresholds, we can get a forecast, and then we have to convert this forecast, early warning, impact tables, and then actions uh, to prevent the adverse impact of that high temperatures. So then we need to translate that impact messages where we can communicate simple local language, and including impacts, affected areas, actions, and other supported information. For the decision making, we can use like sub-seasonal forecast, seasonal forecast, to short range forecast, and the different sectors, they can utilize this information for the preparedness in health, water, energy sectors, and resource prioritization and interventions. Then we need to coordinate. Coordination is very important, especially this climate information forecast and early warnings come from meteorological department, and then we need to combine health data, because these thresholds may be based on the percentile based thresholds, but we need to integrate health and other data, and see these thresholds really visualize the real impacts. Otherwise, we have to redefine thresholds. And this coordination is very important. We need to have defined roles, SOPs, what to do during this type of extreme heat conditions, and joint response also important. And we can do preparedness activities, especially using sub-seasonal forecast and seasonal forecast, and with because I mentioned earlier, up to 10 days this temperature forecast is reliable, so we can use that information for early action and preparedness. And then feedback and improvement is very important, because these threshold levels, if it is not reflect actual impact situation, so we can redefine and do this again, and see whether that threshold really reflect the impacts. Next, please. So especially for the general public, those who are working outside, it's very important what to do. As much as possible, need to reduce exposure, especially that highest that heat stress comes from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. That time. So try to avoid exposure, especially for a long period of time, and stay cool, stay hydrated, and watch for warning sign. And if you experience some heat stress symptoms, so need to get medical attention, and seek help as early as possible. So this type of things we can do. Next, please. And I wanted to add some of our experience under South Asian Hydromet Forum with UK Met Office and Vice South Asia Pacific Program. We are initiate this regional framework and toolkit for temperature impact-based forecasting, which provide a practical guidance document to support the implementation of temperature and related impact-based forecasting. This initiated in last year, June. First workshop held in November, and we get idea to develop this framework and toolkit, and in addition to that, each country. So this program, there are 9 countries in South Asia. Country-specific demonstration projects also uh, uh, they are doing under this project. So first, we discuss about the initial demonstration, and we do online consultation. This project goes till March 2027. Next, please. So then first TOT workshop held in Kathmandu in February. Right now they are doing country specific TOT workshops for the stakeholders. And then we are going to they are identifying country specific thresholds, especially for the heat index, UTCI, because right now most countries they only use temperature as for the identified thresholds, but in under this we are planning to introduce other thermal comfort indices like UTCI, WBGT, and heat index. Next, please. For the South Asia, we also developed this instant portal, integrated forecast estimation for portal. So under this portal, heat index, UTCI, and WBGT, historical data as well as forecast are available. This is still under construction. Soon this will be launched very soon. Under this, they can identify the historical data up to 30 years and identify thresholds. And based on these thresholds, they can convert this into the impact tables as well as early actions. And then we are going to use this for this summer, and then we can review in about these thresholds in this summer, and next summer also we are planning to do this. Next, please. So when we consider the heat stress and heat waves, there are some gaps and challenges, especially if we consider the meteorological equipments. There are limited observations and lot of gaps in historical data records. So to identify the trends, it's very important consistent long-term historical data records. Lack of high resolution reanalysis data sets for local scale analysis, especially countries like Maldives, they need very high resolution data. So I'm happy to heard that UN ESCAP also developing very high resolution 1 kilometer long-term project climate change projection. So that will be very useful. And especially poor integration of meteorological health and urban data, fragmented systems and lack of shared platforms, weak linkage between forecast and action thresholds, because we have forecast, but how we can convert this forecast into actionable information, that part is lacking in many countries. And limited use of impact-based forecasting, challenging in deliver clear, localized, actionable advisories, difficult to reaching vulnerable communities effectively. The coordination also sometimes very limited, because these institutes work isolatedly, and the coordination, especially Met Health and city authorities, is very important. In summary, climate and meteorological information provide crucial insight to monitor urban heat risk, identified vulnerable population, and support early warning systems. When linked with the threshold and impact-based forecasting, these systems enable timely sector-specific decisions and coordinated actions across agencies. Addressing key gaps in data integration communication is essential to translate forecast into effective localized action and protect lives and build urban resilience. So I'm happy that now satellite-derived These land surface temperatures are also available, which provide very high resolution data set. We can address these challenges using alternative observations rather than conventional observations. Next, please. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I am happy to answer.
Thank you, Dr. Jayawardena. I think with the remaining 5 minutes on this session, we have time for one, perhaps two questions. I'll get things started with regard to the alert thresholds that you spoke of. One of the findings that had been recommended by our recent research symposium on maternal and neonatal health was the value of having differentiated warning thresholds for vulnerable populations. I'd like to get some further elaboration from your side on your thoughts on that. Would it be more beneficial to have different alert thresholds for vulnerable populations, or is one threshold suitable?
No, actually, we need thresholds based on the region as well as vulnerable population, especially like for the elderly people, the threshold can be different. But it's very the issue is like how we can communicate, because when we have a lot of different thresholds, then we need to develop some apps and directly address direct to the particular population, because in USA they developed this heat risk index, and for that actually they use health data, and that thresholds are location specific and season specific. For example, for that threshold for today is will not match for threshold for September. So like that we need, but for that we need lot of sectoral data, because meteorological data is available for 30 years because we have archived that data, but this vulnerable community and health data, and how we can integrate this data into the integrating together to develop the thresholds, that is the most important. But it is little bit difficult because when we consider the lot of countries, they don't have this disaggregated data. So that is we need to go for that one. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks very much. With the remaining time that we have for this session, we have one question from the floor.
Yeah, actually, it's not just a question. It's more like a comments and feedback. The Joint Office for Climate and Health between the WHO and WMO will issue and release an international report on this kind of heat index. According to their review, actually, there are nearly over 250 heat index worldwide. So you can see it's not just a few like WPGT or heat index. However, when they check the practical action or implementation of this kind of index, they often found there's a gap between the science findings of the heat index and also the understanding from the participants or vulnerable people. So actually, my suggestion is we should stick to the simple, this kind of index, because potentially we want to people understand what does it mean, and also they can take a proper action. So very often the Met Office will release this kind of warning system, but also if you check, they have different levels of warning, and they use the different colors to mark the levels. So that is a way to send a message, whether now it required action or they needed some emergency strategies or actions. So that is a way to deliver the message to the different people. And also for the action, climate change adaptation and resilience strategies, I think we should consider like the hybrid mode. It's not just only rely on the government's resources or government support. We can also consider how to organize the NGOs, the community support. Some countries in the Southeast Asia, they do have such kind of tradition, and also the community or even the culture tradition to do this. So that is why I think it's the way we have to consider how to develop this kind of hybrid and also a workable way to deal with such kind of issue. Yeah, thank you.
Great. Thanks very much for that. That is the perfect transition into our next session on warning systems. So that's great. Thank you, Dr. Jaiwardena, for your remarks. And if there are any follow-up questions, please let the Secretariat know, and we're happy to circulate those. With that being said, we'll now begin session 6, Strengthening Heat Early Warning Systems and Preparedness. We're very pleased to have two speakers with us here from GISTA to give us a tour of the LifeD application and help us understand its functionality. So I think Dr. Cruz-Silk, you're speaking first. Please, the floor is yours.
Hi. Okay. Good morning, everyone. It's our pleasure to be here today. My name is Jiratiwan Crescent, a geoinformatics specialist, and I'm here with my colleague Gulapat. We are from Geoinformatics and Space Technology Development Agency. It is a public organization. So while this is like a relatively new area for our team, we are building on our experiences in geospatial technologies and Earth observations to support our work. So it is important today that we have to note that GISTA is not the primary agency responsible for issue officials heat information to the public. And however, we work closely with the Thai meteorological departments to support the developments of the heat monitoring and early warning system. So today we would like to share how GISTA is strengthening heat early warning systems and preparedness through our LifeD platform, and which use satellite-derived geoheat data to protect public life in Thailand. So for some of you might not know much about our organization, so I would like to introduce our organization a little bit more. So GISTA is a Thailand National Space Agency established in 2000. So there are 3 main locations. 2 sites are in Bangkok, and the headquarters serve as the main operational centers for geoinformatic applications. And the second one is the geoinformatic divisions and training centers focused on research, development, and capacity building in geoinformatics technologies. And the third site is in the, we can call Space Innovation Park, is located in Chonburi province in the eastern part of Thailand. This site is our key facility for learning, research, and innovation in space science and technologies. So our missions to promote space and geospatial technology for the public benefit. So GISTA has 2 core. Yeah, you can say, okay. GISTA has 2 core missions. First, we operate satellite constellations and ground informations. And as you can see on the screen, since 2008, GISTA has developed Earth observation satellites, including TEOS-1 and TEOS-2. And now, moving forward, more advanced missions, such as you can see on the screen here, TEOS-2 with the mid-wave infrared for temperature monitoring, and TEOS-5 with the SAR sensor, synthetic aperture radar sensor. So these capacity support environmental monitoring, disaster management, public health, surveillance, and practical applications. So, and another core missions, we work on developing downstream solutions such as agriculture, urban planning, water management, natural resources, and public health to support various government agencies. Our approach is to integrate data and turn it into actionable applications. So today the focus is on satellite-driven geo-health for heat early warning system. This is important because extreme heat is become one of the most pressing global risks. In Thailand, we are already seeing more frequent and more intense heat events, with temperature reaching up to 45.4 degrees Celsius. This leads to increased health risks, stronger urban heat islands effect, and reduced productivities. So heat is no longer just an environmental issue in Thailand, but it is a public health challenges as well. Based on, as you can see on the screen, based on World Bank's projections under the SSP2 4.5 scenario, we can see a Korea increase in hot days across Thailand. Thailand is in the middle of the image. So especially in the urban area, river basins, and even agricultural regions. This highlights the need for proactive heat resilient planning. And the impacts are not equal. You can see vulnerable group like elderly, children, and outdoor worker are at higher risk. So this is where I just stepped in. So we work across both research and operational domains. By integrating satellite, meteorological, and health data, we are able to deliver inclusive, near real-time heat risk alerts for both general public and vulnerable communities. So it's very difficult to pronounce this word, so sorry. To do this, we follow a simple three-stage approach. The first one on the research side on the left, we use the Earth observation data to deliver urban thermal fields variability index, or in short, we can call UTFVI, to assess spatial heat intensity and the urban heat island effects. In the second one, in the middle, on the operational side, we integrate satellite data with the meteorological data, public health data to enhance the health risk assessment. This is further supported by the GeoAI-driven analysis on LiveD platform, and which generate location-specific heat risk insights and health vulnerabilities mappings. And finally, through the LiveD platform, we deliver near real-time location-specific insights and practical health guidance directly to this public. So this creates an end-to-end system from the data to decisions and decision to actions. So basically, our work is based on a remote sensing approach. So which is why we use a UTFVI for the heat monitoring from our work. So UTFVI is commonly used to classify urban heat island intensity and thermal comfort levels, allow us to compare conditions across different areas and translate temperatures data into meaningful heat stress levels, and which are more relevant for urban plannings and the public health. And then we are looking at when we look at in the map on the left side, it is quite straightforward to interpret higher UTFVI value, indicate stronger heat stress and worse environmental conditions in the red color. And while lower or negative value represents the cool area with a better thermal comfort, you can see on the blue color. So that's why we choose the UTFVI, because it's very simple, easy to interpret, and scalable for large-scale analysis. So this slide shows our overall workflow. We start by delivering land surface temperatures from the satellite data, mainly using Moody's product first. At the same time, we are exploring the use of Landsat and Sentinel-3 to further improve spatial details and accuracy. Next, in the middle, we calculate UTFVI to quantify the urban heat island intensities and assess thermal comfort by measuring how each pixel land's surface temperatures divised from the average temperatures of the study area. And the results are categorized into 6 levels to evaluate the intensity of the urban heat island phenomenon and its ecological impact. And on the right side, we generate the UTFVI heat maps, which clearly show the spatial distributions of heat both during the day and nighttime, because Moody's can retrieve both the daytimes and the nighttime. So for the nighttime conditions, the accuracy is relatively lower. So we do not include these results in our analysis and these presentations. On the screen, this slide presents a time series of UTFVI maps across Thailand from 2000 to present, showing longer changes in urban thermal conditions. The color scale indicate high intensity. You can see green color represent lower heat stress and better environmental conditions. And while orange and red color indicate high heat stress associated with a strong urban heat island effects. From the maps, hotspot are concentrations in center, lower north, and northeast of Thailand area with dense urban and agricultural activities, which contribute to higher heat accumulation. So recently, data from the 2025 to 2026, and you can see on the screen on the circle period indicates rising heat trends in the southern regions, which has historical exhibit lower thermal intensity compared to other regions. So this shift is driven by a combination of factors, including drier conditions associated with the El Nino and rapid urbanizations, the land use change in the southern part, and high humidity that further amplify the heat stress. And here we show the monthly variations of the heat conditions across Thailand. We can clearly observe seasonal patterns with peak heat periods typically occurring before the raining seasons. However, there are also some limitations since our analysis rely on satellite data. Cloud cover can significantly affect the data availabilities, especially during the raining season. The raining season in Thailand is from May until September. You can see on the screen the black color on our map is no data on that period. So during this period, it's become difficult to consistently derive heat indicators like our UTFVI index, and which limit direct communications to the public. So following our discussion with the Thailand Meteorological Department, the use of the UTFVI is currently not recommended as an official indicators for the public communication. So therefore, we will continue developing the remote sensing components in the research domain, and with the aim of enabling the operational use in the future. So to move towards operational use, we are working in collaboration with the Thailand Meteorological Department, or in short, we can call TMD, to integrate additional data sources and ensure more reliable and continuous heat risk monitoring. Here, this is my last slide before I move to Gulapat. To address these limitations, we integrate satellite data with the ground-based data through the collaboration with the TMD. As you can see on the screen, TMD provide both observed data and forecast temperatures and humidity using the TMD WRF models. These outputs are then used to calculate the heat index through the Luftfrost equations. At the same time, satellite data play a key role in providing wide spatial coverage. However, it also has some limitations, as I just mentioned before. For example, Moody's products number Mod 7 level 4 offer atmospheric temperatures and relative humidity profile. They represent vertical layers of the atmosphere, not 2-meter surface conditions. So these create a vertical mismatch, making them unsuitable for operational use. So to overcome this, we integrate satellite data with the TMD data and process using the machine learning. We use the support vector machine regressions models to deliver the heat index. This allows us to combine wide spatial coverage with accurate ground measurements, resulting in the more reliable heat risk informations. So as a result, we can generate the UTFVI, reliable heat index, more reliable and consistency heat index. The final output is the detailed heat index map, which is then directly integrated into the LiveD platform. So to give a better understanding of how this is applied in practice, I would now like to hand over to my colleague, Gulapat, who will introduce the LiveD platform in the next section. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chiratiwan, and good morning, everyone. My name is Gulapat Lapawong. I'm geoinformatics scientist at GISDA. Dr. Chiratiwan is showed how we use complex satellite data to understand heat. Now, my question is, how do we bring this data to the people? As you can see on this slide, our core vision is GeoHealth and GI for all. We use advanced technology like the satellite, drone, and AI to monitor our city and element. But we don't keep this information in the lab. We want geoinformatics to accessible to everyone, helping them protect their health from climate risk. And next, so what exactly is LiveD to put in the simple GISA provide the DI and LiveD as the voice to the people. Why GISA use the satellite to see the heat from space? LiveD speak directly to the citizen through their smartphone. This application server for main purpose. The first is provide near real-time hazard alert, and user get the immediate update to extreme heat and PM 2.5 level based on the exact location. And second, public health monitoring is not just show the number, it's offer the personal health advice to the protect user from the heat related. And third is act as the decision support system. It help people plan their like the design better is the safe to work or the exercise outdoor. And finally, it is accessible to everyone. It is designed to be user friendly, ensuring that nobody is left behind in adapting to climate change. And now let's say the open app. This is a home screen designed to be beyond the daily health dashboard. And the first is used to location service to provide site-specific real-time monitoring. You can instantly see the exact heat index and PM2.5 level, like where you are standing. The second, we don't just give you a raw the number. The app provide data-driven health insight and behavioral guidance to help you plan the outdoor activity safely. And third, if your heat become dangerous, the app help you find the relief. It facilitates access to urban heat infrastructure, directing you to nearby the medical center or cooling. And lastly, is promote health literacy. We provide website easy to read health news, ensure that our risk communication. And next, let's explore the map feature. This is where our geoinformatics expertise really come to life. The first, we have the location-based monitoring as you move around the city. The map continuously track you the location and update the heat risk level wherever you go. And the second is the comprehensive environment parameter. When you check the location, you see the full picture, not just the heat index, but also humidity and air quality all in the one pop-up. And thus, we offer the dynamic base map visualization. User can easily switch between the standard street map and the satellite view. And finally, the spatial overlay of the hazard. This is crucial for the urban resilience. User can switch layer view, either the heat map or the PM2.5 pollution map, help them avoid multiple environmental. And next, GISTA provide the AI, likely acts as the voice to people. And next, to summarize what makes the lively truly effective, come down to 4 key features. And the first, the heat risk alert. The app deliver timely location-based notification directly to your phone. And the second, help the guidance. We don't just warn you. We provide actionable medical backend advice on how to stay safe, stay cool, and hydrate properly. And third, easy to understand interface. The institute design ensure that this critical information is easily accessible to the demographic. And finally, it is a vulnerable group friendly by user the clear visual and we break down traditional communication. And next, today we are the daylight with a Rising Extreme as a global health event. Increase the frequency, intensity, and duration. From our satellite data at the GISTA, we clearly see significant change in the urban heat island. Our city are trapping more heat, making our citizens more vulnerable. And one more is our vulnerable population, the older, young, children, people with medical condition, and outdoor workers, because their body have the lower physical. And now let's take a look at the home screen, the Lati application. This screen is designed to be a daily health component forecasting for main function, the real-time location by using location service. And next, we offer the data-driven health insight to the behavioral guidance. And third, public service. If the heat becomes dangerous, the app helps by the facilitate access to our urban health infrastructure. And finally, the health news, we focus on the promoting health literacy through the access like communication. And our map feature is where our geoinformatic expertise really come to life. As you move around the city, the map continuously track your location and update the heat risk level. And user can switch between the standard street map and satellite view, and even use the spatial overlay to view the heat map or the PM 2.5 pollution map. And next, for the heat index, we link directly with the Thai Meteorological Department to the guarantee highly accurate data. And we use a stratification of the heat index threshold ranking from the closer to extreme danger, which correlate thermal exposure level with the actual physiological health impact and likelihood or history. This all use implement the tier protective health alert state system. User get the immediate customized hazard notification for the multi-hazard. The exposure available in both Thai and English, ensuring the local expert and the vulnerable group are all protected. And finally, we don't just want people, we provide the actionable solution. The app facilitates access to the telemedicine and special pollution clinic, empower user with the symptom tracking and user geospatial routing to guide and user to save and have the clean air and shelter when the outside environment because become too dangerous. And that's been to the end of the presentation. If you have any question later, or if the city is interesting in future collaborate with the GISA, please feel to reach our Dr. Chiriwan or myself. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. We have 10 minutes remaining in this session for questions. I'm sure there will be quite a lot of interest in this. I'm particularly interested in understanding what it might take to replicate this in other countries in Southeast Asia with the MODIS data and hopefully sufficient ground networks. But I certainly took note of the periods of the year in which the satellite observations are not available due to cloud cover. And of course, as well, the issue that it's the whole environment, the whole atmospheric stack, not just the surface temperature. So with those constraints in mind, would you consider it advisable for other countries in this region to consider replicating the LifeD application for their use?
Well, thank you for your comments and the corrections. We also got the Lanchang Mekong Foundations to expand the LifeD platform to our neighbor countries, for example, like Laos, PRDs, and Vietnam. So we try to collaborate with the meteorological departments of each country to collaborate on this part. So at first, it's for the remote sensing approach is kind of we have to do the research first, and then we have to duplicate and replicate to each country. So I think right now, I think we just only use UTF-VI alone based on the remote sensing is not recommend. So same as Thailand, the TMD is also not recommend us to use this one for the public information. So that's why we have to work closely with the TMD to work on this part. So when we got the funding from the Lanchang Mekong funding, so we have to to move on the research first, and then work closely to expand for the operational use.
That sounds great, and I could talk to you about this for hours, but we only have a few minutes, and let's get the floor opened. I think let's start with Jessica, and then over to you. Yep.
Thank you very much. That was very enlightening, and I really appreciate the honesty. That you said that remote sensing may not be enough to respond to the needs. So I'm looking at our local government unit right now. I've worked with some of your scientists before, Gisda and here with Cordex. And what I found interesting in your presentation was being able to link climate forecast applications with impact level scientists. And may I know what were the challenges that you had in terms of linking both? It's not easy. Yeah, please.
For sure. Yeah, thank you. Linking between the sharing data between each organization is quite tough and very challenging. So at first in Thailand, basically we have to make a MOU first, and then they're gonna share the data, from their side. So for the TMD data, recently they have an API. We can download the APIs and use that kind of data to integrate with the remote sensing data from our site. But API doesn't work well because it's not the raw data. So, but when we establish a MOU between GISTA and CMD, so the scientists behind the scene, so we share the data each other. So when the remote sensing it doesn't work, or it's like the cloud cover in our raining season, so we try to interpolate the TMD data to visualize in our platform. So the sharing data is very challenges and very important in I think if every part of country. Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, I want to answer your question about the data part. So apart from the satellite image, very often we can also consider like the reanalysis ERA5 data. And there is a special working group commissioned by the World Meteorological Organization. They're running the CMIP6 WRF for the entire Southeast Asia. And the time study period can trace back to 1967 up to now. And also they're running the future climate change scenario related projections. And they have a collaboration with the TMD actually. So it's an ongoing effort. And the major research team actually is from the Hong Kong Science Technology University. And if you want to know more, I can share the contact information. Actually, I have a question about the heat, the UHI map generated by the GSTAR. Because if you refer to your slide, the daytime heat and also nighttime heat, they show the similar, this kind of hotspot locations. But if you check the air temperature, because your satellite image rely on the satellite land surface temperature. So there's actually a gap between the air temperature hotspot and also the LST hotspot. So I'm worried whether there is a wrong message sent out to the general public, especially when you detect the hotspot in the daytime, nighttime is mainly located in the downtown area. Well, in the beginning, one of our speakers mentioned in Thailand, actually the elderly, the farmers, outdoor activities, the children, they are the vulnerable populations. And very often they live in the rural area instead of in the downtown area. So that is why I think since you already have a collaboration with the TMD, so maybe you can cross-check with air temperature situation, and then you can provide a more comprehensive understanding about the hotspots and also this kind of geospatial locations of the heat wave situations. Yeah, thank you.
Great. And we have one final question from the floor, and then we'll go to the break. Please go ahead.
Yeah, short question. In one of the slides, you have shown that you are also advising on the medical grounds, medical data, medical advisory. So how are you doing that along with this? Do you have medical practitioners in your team, or?
For the medical health. So just for report, like, I don't know how to say, just when we have a heat locations from when we know where is the heat occur, so we work with the Ministry of the Public Health. We got the data from, we also have the collaboration with the Ministry of Public Health as well. They have the vulnerability data, and we have locations of the people who have a vulnerable group. So when a heat alert, maybe so for example, in Bangkok, in the legislative program, we can link the data with the Ministry of Public Health as well. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone for your engagement in the session. And yes, we would love to get the contact information for that ongoing research work. Please do circulate. We'll now go on to the coffee break and reconvene the session at 10:20. Thank you, everyone.
Dr. Dinesh Arora, are you currently on the line? If you are, feel free to rename yourself.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the meeting. We need to convoke the next session. So we'll begin shortly with session 7 on structural and nature-based cooling solutions. As we're taking our seats for that, I would like to just mention that a number of participants have reflected on a desire to have some follow-up sessions to further discuss the action points that are being identified here. We are very enthusiastic to support a kind of community of practice dialogue going forward from this. So if I'm wondering if I should ask people to raise their hands, but if you would be interested to have those kinds of follow-on sessions to continue the discussion, I see a lot of people nodding. We'll certainly take note of that and give some proposals on how to implement it. So with that being said, I'll turn the time over to my colleague Alex.
Thank you so much. So for session 7, we're focusing on structural and nature-based cooling solutions for urban heat resilience. So really looking at solutions and tangible things that cities can do to really mitigate and work on this urban heat resilience issue. So with that, we have our speakers here in the back. First off, Dr. Cruz will be presenting, and so I will hand the floor over to him. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Alex. So, all right. So, good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Hill Cruz from the University of the Philippines in Diliman. So, in the university, I teach urban hydrology and engineering meteorology, focusing on how hydromet hazards, flooding, heat affect our water resources and urban environments. And my research looks into how nature-based solutions can help address these challenges. But one important principle I always emphasize is this: nature-based solutions are most effective when they solve multiple problems and deliver multiple co-benefits. So today I'll be discussing how can we make our cities more livable by combining structural strategies and nature-based approaches, particularly in the context of rapidly urbanizing cities. All right. So over the last 2 days, I think we have made a shared understanding that urban heat matters. Urban heat is not just about temperature. It's about exposure and vulnerability. And in tropical cities, for example, in Metro Manila in the Philippines, high humidity increases the heat index, making it feel much hotter than actual temperature. And at the same time, densely built up areas create urban heat islands. So this is not just a pure climate issue, it's a systems problem that involves urban design, infrastructure, and social conditions. And to address this, we need to think of cooling as a multi-scale system. And this is a framework that we could look into: a building scale, a neighborhood scale, and a city scale. At the building scale, we can apply passive design strategies by implementing, for example, natural ventilation, shading, and the use of reflective materials. At the neighborhood scale, here we can apply green and blue infrastructures. This include trees, parks, water systems. And at the city scale, we integrate policies and planning, basically how to make this happen. And the key idea is that cooling works best when interventions are coordinated across scales, from building to neighborhood to city scales, and not implemented in silos. Now let's start with structural or built cooling strategies. By definition, passive cooling uses building design and materials to keep indoor spaces comfortable without relying on air conditioning. The examples of which are the use of natural ventilation by enhancing airflow through building using windows, vents, and architectural features. Also, it includes the use of reflective materials and better building envelope design. However, these strategies are still largely focused at the building scale and are not yet fully integrated into urban systems. So this brings us to, for example, the case of the Philippines and how we implement passive cooling strategies. So in the Philippines, we have this Philippine Green Building Code. It already embeds many of these passive cooling principles. For example, it promotes natural ventilation, reflective surfaces, building envelope design. However, that's the challenge right now. It's not yet fully integrated at the urban cities or systems level. So thus that brings us to nature-based solutions or NBS. So nature-based solutions involve using and enhancing natural systems such as green and blue infrastructures to address urban challenges like heat, flooding, and environmental degradation and other challenges while improving overall livability. So NBS are not just environmental interventions, they are multi-benefit solutions. So anchored to nature-based solutions are what we call um, green infrastructures. So these are planned networks of natural and semi-natural areas with other environmental features designed and managed to deliver different ecosystem services. Example of which are permeable pavement, green roof, rain gardens, bioswales, and infiltration strips. So again, these green infrastructures are NBS that address multiple challenges, including flooding, air quality, urban heat island effect, and other challenges. Another is the blue-green infrastructure. These are planned, interconnected networks of natural and semi-natural areas, but that's why it's called blue green. It includes water bodies and green and open spaces that provide different ecosystem services. Example of which are mangrove systems, retention ponds, restored waterways, and natural and constructed wetlands. And what are the cooling effects of applying nature-based solutions? Basically, because it uses street trees, urban parks, green roofs, and wetlands. It can reduce urban temperatures. It basically reduce temperature by providing shade, enhancing evapotranspiration in the urban hydrology, and absorbing heat, helping mitigate the urban heat island effect. And based on literature, in many cases, vegetation can reduce temperature by around 1 to 5 degrees Celsius. And this is especially important during extreme heat events. Now, to guide the implementation, we have planning benchmarks. For example, if you want to integrate these nature-based solutions in our city, for example, the World Health Organization or WHO recommends a minimum of 9 square meters of green space per person with an ideal of up to 50 square meter per person. And these standards help guide urban planning decisions, especially for developing cities. Another useful framework is 330-300 rule. Basically, the concept is that everyone should be able to see at least 3 trees, live in areas with 30% tree canopy, and be within 300 meters of green space. So this rule emphasizes not just the quantity of green space, but its visibility, accessibility, and distribution. And it makes it practical framework for improving urban cooling livability and overall well-being. Now, looking at the case of Metro Manila in the Philippines, it's the capital city of the Philippines, and it undergoes fast urbanization rate, land conversion from barren and vegetation lands into settlements, and it leads to threatening of the last remaining green spaces in the area. As you can see in the map, while some cities met the green space standard in 2005, decades after, all have now fallen below the threshold due to the rapid urbanization. So this highlights the urgency of integrating green infrastructure into urban planning. And one takeaway from this is that cooling is not just about the amount of green space, it's also about where it is located, who can access it, and how it shapes everyday urban life. This photo is our campus in University of the Philippines, and it's one of the remaining green spaces in Metro Manila. Another case study that I want to share, this is an ongoing project with the Department of Science and Technology that I'm leading right now. Here, we studied a 100-hectare catchment that was highly dense and impermeable inside the city of Balanga in Bataan. As you can see in that 100 hectare, initially it was about 97.9% gray and 2.1% green. Our goal is to increase the percentage of green spaces by converting existing gray areas into green. So we were able to increase that by 28.8% at this moment on the conceptual level. And then as you can see, through the integration of green infrastructure by identifying a strategic spatial allocation of different green infrastructures such as permeable pavements, rain gardens, green parks, we were able to significantly increase green space. And these interventions will help manage both urban heat and flooding in the area. This slide shows a visualization of transforming impermeable urban spaces like parking areas into green environments. And the goal is to redesign cities into a more climate responsive landscapes. However, implementing nature-based solutions requires careful technical considerations. Basically, we need to evaluate, for example, hydrologic performance and design storms, the thermal performance and cooling potential of these green infrastructures when applied. Another important factor to consider is the site suitability and spatial planning. This includes understanding what is the soil type, what is the infiltration capacity of the ground, the slope and the groundwater levels, and we need to identify priority areas using different strategies. We also need to consider the vegetation selection and design. In the Philippines, for example, we're very particular with the how we select trees that we plant. We need to choose native and climate adapted species with high survival rate and cooling potential. So another is the integration with gray infrastructure. We need to ensure that this blue-green will be integrated well with the gray infrastructures in the area. So from here, we can say that effective green infrastructure design requires balancing both the hydrologic performance of these green infrastructures, the thermal benefits, the spatial suitability, where do we locate or place these green infrastructures, and how do we integrate this in the system at the city scale. And then so just to give you some of the barriers and some of the potential strategies to address these barriers, I listed there 5. For example, one of the key challenges is that there is a limited funding and competing urban priorities within cities. So we can address this by mobilizing climate finance and public-private partnerships for NBS projects. Another thing to note is that there's a weak institutional capacity at some cities at local level, which leads to limited baseline information about risks. So we can counteract this by strengthening technical capacity of LGU through trainings and different tools. There's also fragmented governance and planning in some cities. So we can counteract this by adopting an integrated cross-sector urban planning in terms of water, land use, infrastructures, and the environment. Another thing to point out is that nature-based solutions are often overlooked in planning, and this leads to loss of green spaces due to rapid urbanization. So we can address this by protecting our existing green and blue spaces, for example, our natural streams, our parks, by integrating nature-based solutions into land use planning, and by enforcing zoning regulations and urban development controls. One last thing is that inequitable access to cooling, particularly vulnerable communities that are most affected. So we need to prioritize nature-based solutions in high-risk and underserved areas by inclusive planning policies and community engagement mechanisms. So to conclude, I just want to say that urban heat is a growing challenge, but also an opportunity. So by combining structural solutions, nature-based solutions, and systems thinking, we can create cities that are cooler, more livable, and more resilient. Thank you very much. Maraming salamat po.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Cruz. I think that was a great overview, as well as providing really great case studies that we can think about and just thinking of ways to move forward. So now we'll go to the next pair of speakers, and then after that, we'll do the questions. So I would like to welcome Mr. Ganeshan and Ms. Nair to do the next presentation. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Alex. So good morning, everyone. I'm Kanagraj Ganeshan. I'm the founder of Integrative Design Solutions based out of New Delhi, India. And we are primarily a boutique consulting organization specialized in building energy efficiency, sustainable cooling, and climate neutral cities. So today we are going to talk about two case examples, one from Cambodia and one from India. And the main intent of this presentation is to show how a science-based approach or an evidence-based approach can lead to mainstreaming of passive cooling strategies in the city or the country context. Okay, not able to change. Yeah, okay, good. So I will be talking about this project, which is called Passive Cooling Strategies Project in Cambodia. This is a joint project between Ministry of Environment in Cambodia, ESCAP, UNEP, and Cool Coalition. We have been acting as an international expert in this project, and this project has been in operation for past 3.5 years. So I'll be just putting forward some of the findings of this project. I think it went to the last slide somehow. Can you go to the first slide? Alex, can you go to the first slide or shall I? Okay, just give me a minute. Okay, the context of this space cooling in Cambodia is almost 45% of the electricity in Cambodia is used in cooling, and 80% of that is attributed to the space cooling. And we have seen that the penetration of air conditioner in Cambodian households is not that much. And considering that there is a rising demand for cooling, we foresee that it will have bigger impact in terms of energy consumption in the country as well as greenhouse gas emissions. Okay, maybe you can change. Good. So the foundation of this whole program was development of National Cooling Action Plan. Again, ESCAP, UNEP, and Cool Coalition set the whole base for it. And under the National Cooling Action Plan, we not only look at building space cooling, but also look at other cooling related infrastructure like food cold chain, healthcare cold chain, mobile air conditioning, and industrial cooling. Next slide, please. Yeah, so these are the knowledge products which are developed in this project. And the main idea of these knowledge product is one, to support decision maker with an in-depth analysis so that they can take informed decision in terms of how to lower energy related emissions. And the second important factor was to develop guidelines and tools for practitioners so that they can enable the deployment of passive cooling strategies. So to start with, we started with doing a typology technical assessment of Cambodia. We looked at various typology of buildings from housing to commercial buildings. And then we looked at like how through simulation exercise, what could be the kind of potential from passive cooling strategies in reducing the cooling demand of the buildings, as well as looking at the reduction in energy consumption and greenhouse gas emissions. Further, we have developed average guidelines. These are like ready reckoner tools which designers can deploy in their projects so that they can evaluate like which strategy would be much more relevant for their project. We also developed compendium document, which I will talk about in the next slide. The idea is to develop catalogs of various PCS measures so that the designers can understand like where a particular PCS would be applicable and what is its cost benefit and other information. We also mapped the material directory for it. And finally, the whole knowledge product got culminated into a detailed guidelines where not only we mentioned various design related parameters, but we looked at cost economics as well as the implementation modality of these PCS. Next slide, please. Can you go one slide back? Yeah. So on the compendium, so this is again a kind of a catalog of PCS. It has been structured in a manner so that the reader can understand the building physics and to see like what is the various building physics parameter related to thermal comfort, mode of heat transfer, heat gain, and heat losses. Then we categorize the whole PCS solution into 3 levels. The first level is site-oriented passive cooling strategies. This is how a designer can go about looking at site-related PCS interventions, whether it is connected to vegetation, water bodies, pavements. On the design-oriented passive cooling strategies, we are primarily looking at the building level interventions. This is connected to orientation of the building, massing, and spatial configuration. Then it can get further distilled into a material-oriented passive cooling strategies where we are looking at building level components, wall, window, roof, and see that how shading, insulation, and ventilations are effective in terms of design intervention. And finally, it gives a kind of a decision matrix so that the user can select the desired strategies. Next slide, please. Yeah. So one of the key intervention of this project is to work on a demonstration project. So we have selected this project from ISI land. This was selected through a open expression of interest. The idea is in this project, the developer has already delivered phase 1 of the project, and the phase 2 of the project was ongoing, and they intend to develop the phase 3 of the project. This is a Bore kind of a typology where we have ground plus 2 structure. Next slide, please. So what we did was like we did an integrated design charrette. So early in the design stage, we looked at what kind of interventions or passive cooling strategies can be implemented in this project. So these are the 5 interventions which we came after the 2 day of deliberation. So it was connected to the cool coating of concrete roof, cool coating of the metal roof, and then also looking at how this cool coating works on wall surfaces. And then looking at the fenestration level, we were looking at solar film on glazing and also outdoor roller blinds. The intent is like we basically select 2 units and then try to see that how much impact each of these strategies are going to make so that the phase 3 of the project can integrate all these passive cooling strategies. Next slide. So this is how like we have selected 2 units and we have done a very detailed monitoring of these 2 units. So we have installed an outdoor weather station which captured air temperature, humidity, wind speed and direction, solar radiation and rainfall. And on each of the surface orientation, we also put surface temperature to understand the heat flux from the wall, roof and windows. And we also deployed temperature and humidity sensors in the room and also measured the AC related energy consumption. The idea is to equip this monitoring system and do experiments so that we can really understand the impact of each passive cooling measures. And then we translate this thing, next slide. Then we translate this whole thing into a simulation model. The idea is that this simulation model get calibrated by the monitor data, and we are able to really measure like what kind of impact through those experiments we can find year around in this typology of the building. So you can see here that through monitoring results, we were able to see 6 degrees Celsius temperature difference on the wall and 4 degrees Celsius temperature difference on the roof. We were also able to understand how much, let's say, thermal comfort can be improved by deploying these passive cooling strategies and what impact it will have on reduction in energy consumption as well as greenhouse gas emissions. So this is a very scientific way of defining things. The idea is after defining it, next slide, we wanted to also extend it for national level interventions. But another key item which we looked at in this project is to build capacity through community of practice. So Institute of Technology Cambodia led this whole initiative. The idea was to organize series of training programs where people were trained on building physics. Then they were also trained on the theoretical aspects of passive cooling strategies. We also did few programs on energy simulation software so that the practitioners can evaluate various design options. Next. So this is how this whole thing moved from, let's say, a pilot to, let's say, a site level expansion or scaling of the idea, and then finally to the institutionalization. So the idea was like we did this pilot, and then with this pilot, the next phase, which is another 400 units, are going to have all these strategies integrated. And we were also able to include passive cooling strategies as a core thing in the nationally determined contribution 3.0 of Cambodia. So this is one of the most proactive country in terms of addressing PCS in their highest level of national commitment. The National Cooling Action Plan also shows the national level commitment where PCS gets highlighted. Then the regulatory measures like Building Energy Code and Green Building Code are also getting developed, where these learning from these projects are getting embedded into. And now there is also market transformation happening where affordable housing and industrial buildings are looking at various technological packages to include in their implementation. Yeah, so with this, I think I conclude my part of the presentation. Now I will hand it over to Rupa to take you through.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether I should start, I should stop because the music is going to play in exactly 30 seconds.
Okay.
So hi everyone, I'm Rupa. So today I'm going to talk about replicable design options for thermally comfortable, affordable housing. So this was a project done for Ministry of Urban Housing, Ministry of Urban Affairs and Housing, and supported by GIZ. So I was a technical project manager and the key architectural expert in this project. The objective of the project was to enhance climate resilience and thermal comfort in the buildings, and by adopting innovative passive measures and making sure that you have locally available materials and low embodied energy materials, and also ensuring that you use appropriate available technologies of construction. So basically the main idea was minimize discomfort hours. So the whole exercise was developing type designs for both single family and multifamily units. And the entire exercise was done as a user-friendly web tool, which different building stakeholders can explore and take informed decisions about what are the type designs they want to look at. So in the single family, we looked at the row house typology, starting from 30 to 60 square meters. And in multifamily, we started with row house, a back-to-back kind of formation, going up to two-side open system. Then we looked at corridor system, both singly loaded corridors and doubly loaded corridors, and going up to tower connected and tower standalone. This is very common in India. And as you go from the bottom of the ladder to the top of the ladder, the size of the house increases, and similarly does the number of floors in the building. So the row house back-to-back or the singly loaded corridor could be a ground to 3 structure, whereas the tower and the doubly loaded corridor could be still plus 7 floors. So there are 2 design packages we did. So one is a master set and the other is a plan set. In the master set, the idea was the user can actually can access the design data, that is all your plans, the building drawings, the construction data, your BOQs, estimates, and all those files. And in fact, the actual Revit file can be downloaded. Similarly, the simulation data, all the IDF files, RAD files can be downloaded and used. And similarly, all the key performance indicator. So the intent was that the user can download these files and make amendments according to his own site conditions or needs and make informed decisions. I will not go to nitty-gritties of this because everyone spoke about the passive cooling strategies we need to do. So these were the 5 main principles in which we did the project: the compactness, protection from heat, protection through shading, and use your openings and glazing very wisely and judicially, and the use of thermal mass. So we had almost like 1,000 variations in this entire project, and then the variations came from 5 climate zones. India has 5 climate zones. One is a cold climate, so we can take that out. The 4 warm climate zones are hot and dry, composite, warm, humid, and temperate. And we also looked at different construction technologies. So we had different ones for low-rise buildings and high-rise buildings. And we looked at different orientation, the south orientation and the west orientation. West is considered to be the worst orientation. And then we also looked at the location of the unit in the building block, like both horizontally and vertically. Where exactly are you located in the building? Are you on the ground floor, are you on the top floor, or you are in the middle unit or in the edge unit? And these were the key performance indicators we recorded through the web tool. So we looked at building envelope efficiency that was recorded as the residential envelope transactance values. That is basically what is the net heat gain through the envelope except the roof. Then we looked at thermal comfort and we recorded that as degree discomfort hours. It is nothing, just the difference in indoor air temperature and the Indian model of adaptive comfort residence comfort temperature. And it is recorded over 8,760 hours. That is basically 24 hours or over 365 days. I'll just give you a glimpse of what the performance reveals and some of the units, so you can have an understanding how this will look like. So this is a tower connected unit. This is basically a middle unit, middle floor, and protected on all sides. That's what we are going to look at in the simulation result. What you see on the top left is a hot and dry climate, and what you see on the top right is a temperate climate. You can see in the temperate climate, the results are in the range of 200, 300, whereas you look at hot and dry climate, the discomfort hours are in 2000s and like thousands. That is because temperate is a milder climate and hot and dry is an extreme climate. So, and if you look at the bottom of the page, you can see there are 4 climate zones, and hot and dry composite are way higher than the warm, humid, and temperate. So the more extreme the climate, the greater is the discomfort. The same unit can be used for all 4 climate zones, but you have to ensure that the design needs to be adjusted for the local conditions. Looking at orientation variations, when I started the presentation, I kind of told you like west is the worst orientation. But if you look at the results, you can see all the green colors for the west. Some of you might be wondering, why is that? That is because if you look at the bottom of the screen, there are 2 inferences. One is on the south orientation. This is a facade that is facing the south sun. You have a perforated jali on the top, and there is a side fin to cut down your east and west sun. And if you go, the same facade is facing the west orientation, that means you have a rolled down bamboo screen that is pulled down to make sure that the west sun doesn't hit the glazing. So because of this small addition of rolled down bamboo screen, that effect based on the orientation is negated. That this is a more like important takeaway from these kind of projects. You need not have to go for really costly or expensive stuff to make sure that you have climate adapted approaches. I'll just show you what the tool will look like, just to leave you with that. So this is what the tool will look like when you select your location, where exactly you are, like geographically where you are located, what is the type of unit you want. You want a single home or a multiple home situation where you are located horizontally, vertically, and on the bottom, you can see the different construction technologies you can look at. And that in the center of the screen, what you see are the key performance indicators. The next slide is just, again, the key performance indicators, which shows the degree discomfort hours and your embodied carbon intensity and so on and so forth. I'll leave you with this slide, but happy to take any questions you may have. Thank you. And thank you for giving me that extra time.
No, of course, it's very important information. So we are running a little behind, but I think we can take about 5 minutes for question from the floor. Yes, Dr. Ren.
Very interesting presentation, and thanks for your informative introduction about this passive cooling design practice. I'm just wondering, have you linked this, this kind of design actions with local green building assessment system?
Particularly this one, we did not attach it with a local system, but what we did was all the type design are compliant with the
on that scientific procedure, we can balance out whether we should prioritize nature-based solutions or engineering approaches.
Just one short point. Cities are usually responsible for giving building permits. So that's why the building energy code usually, where let's say the nature-based solution and passive cooling strategies are integrated, needs to be considered as like a step where cities can really make it happen, because national government can just give directives, but really the enforcement of it or the implementation of it comes at the city scale.
Great. Thank you so much. Are there any questions? If not, we'll wrap up the session.
If I may just add a point to the question you raised, no? Because earlier Gisda and some of our speakers spoke about, site-specific, solutions, and now we're talking about again, different solutions specific to green, gray, and blue. I would suggest that this is a broad term, like when we talk about context specific, it's not only site, but it's also about lifestyle based, because when we're dealing not only with social classes, it also has to do with how people live. I still remember the point raised yesterday by Dr. Ren that in Hong Kong, they live in tall buildings, but they do not have air conditioning units. But in many of the condominiums, for example, in the Philippines, almost everyone has an air conditioning unit. So that kind of context specificity will allow us to really have a more responsive approach. I do appreciate the bamboo, innovation that you put in there, even in big buildings. And I think that's a low cost solution that will allow us to be more responsive to the challenges. So context specific rather than just site specific. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. A round of applause for the speakers. Thank you. So now we'll move on to the next session, which is focus on priorities and partnerships for advancing urban heat resilience and pursuing cities. So the first presenter is Hilmi from UCLG, who will be presenting a presentation. And then after that, we have our colleague from the ADB, Dr. Dinesh Arora, who is online. So Hilmi, the floor is yours, but you're more than welcome to come to this area. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Yeah, this is the last session. I know that we've been hearing a lot of specific technical information, learning from other cities, and for regarding the urban heat resilience in this region. And we UCLG Asia Pacific, as I mentioned earlier, that we are a local government association. We are on city networks, so we facilitate several like capacity buildings, advocacy, and also joint project collaboration with partners. So in order to build this kind of cooperation, we also work closely with multi stakeholders, including our partners. Next slide, please. So yeah, what is UCLG? Before I start with building the cooperation, UCLG basically is a local regional government association. Before our name was IULA, it was established in 1913, long before UN established. So then it merged into one single local government cooperation, like a UCLG, into 2004. And yeah, it would cover more than 100, 240,000 to 240,000 towns, cities, region, and metropolises. So we have a different section, regional section, including Asia Pacific is the largest section among others UCLG. Next. Yep. This is the Asia Pacific section. So basically, our office is located based in Jakarta, Indonesia. It covers the largest section in the region. Next. So this is our focus area. We have a very strong commitment in advocacy, like capacity building, research and policy analysis, program and project, and decentralized cooperation. So we linking to the decentralized cooperation here, meaning that we facilitate city-to-city cooperation and also other local government cooperation. Next. So for the advocacy, we bridge the global agenda, and also we know that we advocate all the global agenda 2030s that are committed by the national governments. Then we brings into the local contents. So for SDGs, we also localizing those global target of 2030 through global advocacy. And for the Asia Pacific region, we have specific local governments coordinating body law. We call IPLG together with other partners like ICLE, C40, CityNet, and others. Next. So this is basically Asia Pacific local coordinating body. So we have partners like ESCAP, everything. We work under this platform to streamline all the position of local government networks in the region. Maybe the issues, like for example, every year we have APFSD, we have others platform organized by ESCAP and linked to the global agenda target. So we discuss together how we can prioritize the issues in this region, including climate resilience and also like urban heat island, for example. It can be also put into the tables for discussion and also put this highlight share with the national government representative at the platform. Next. So basically, APLG has a platform. So this is a very new platform. I think all, if you can look at after, it's not ready yet, but we try to capture all the everything's like including the best practices settings from the country. We know that not all UCLG ASPAC members are also ICLE members. Not all ICLE members are UCLG ASPAC members. So it's a shared common platform. I think we try to build this kind of things. So lessons, sharing knowledge, everything that can be also shared. Next. So when we help cities, we start with the. Can you click again? Understanding the issues. So I think this is very important. When we'll highlight today, this past last day conversation, when we talk with the city official or official, we have to really understand the issue, understanding the issues. When we talk about urban heat, for example, what is the most priority that also affected the daily life. For example, we know that in this region, a lot of urban problems, including floodings, air pollution, and also including the vulnerabilities as well. And this is very important before we start to support the city in developing the action plan. We have to understand really that this is the really the issue that we can bring on the table for the concrete actions. Next. And in the region, we also, as a secretariat of Global Conference of Mayor, GCOM. So this is basically a alliance supported by European Union that we brings all the initiative and also commitments related to climate change, and several cities in Asia Pacific has pledged their commitment toward climate resilience. And UCLG ASPAC, we are as a GCOM Secretariat Southeast Asia. We also facilitate several technical support and also some capacity buildings in developing their climate action plan for cities. Maybe this is very important for city before, when they develop an action plan. Then we have some series of guidelines, for example, that been developed through GCOM Secretariat. Next. This is the CAP guideline, like climate action plan guideline. So include also the urban heat issues in the region. Next. Yeah, I will talk about the lesson learned that we have from yesterday as well. Sometimes when we support the government to develop development or strategy paper, we know that the lesson learned is sometimes like sustainability and public participation. When it come up from a single consultant, or even though silos process, it also trigger, there is some widen the gaps, and also public's participations is very important. And also lacks of sense of ownerships. Sometimes when we produce a climate action plan, then governments, they don't feel that this document is a living document, so it's just stored in the office. Then it will be necessary. I think this is our role here, to keep that the ownership brings from the government itself. And we want to change the old paradigms that government lead the program. Sometimes the government lead the program, but less community engagement. I think this is very important before we start the support to local governments. Next. When put it. And also the second step is internalization. I call it internalization. Why? Because of when we have set up or developed or drafted the strategy or action plan, then it is important to have some internalization. How it connects with the internal priority and also budget system. In every country, they have different scheme or different levels of the governance. And we know that once it's already secure into the development plan or city budget plan, so already that there is sustainability guarantee for implementing those actions. I know that when city develop local or any action plans, then it should also put into their local government's plannings and also budgeting system. And even though in some countries in the city level, they have different process or approaches in doing it, implementing the budget. Sometimes they don't have enough resources, but then if it embedded into the community level, then it will implements very well. Like there is example from the Bangkok's advisor to governor regarding the pocket park. There's some pocket park built a very small level and approach with this community level. So it means that it's already embedded into the process, like ownership from the community. But and another example, like in Jakarta as well, there is they built some public spaces, but Jakarta has a very regulation together with private sector. So private sector need to contribute a certain amount of money in the very vulnerable areas like poorest area to provide to build a small public space. So that's to minimize several reduce some risk, potential risks, and also some impact from the climate related to the community, to poorest neighborhood community. I think that's the example. Next. This is priority and partnership. I think when we talk about here, I think before we left this events, I think we want to talk together how whether Ilo and also Cox's Bazar, they have some priority or sharing knowledge each other when with the different condition. And also Hong Kong brings some mega city examples, and also Bangkok. This is kind of exchange is very important. Next, I don't want to next. I don't want to just saying the key element of city to city cooperation here, because of we know that everyone's we are a practitioner. Sometimes the commitment from the leaders is very important. Like we know that they might some changing from the mayor position. We don't know. We don't guarantee that whether the program will long lasting. So this is the role of local government association. So I think the engagement with national government association is important here. In the Philippines, we have several association like LCP, LMP, and etc. And in Bangladesh, we have several as well, like MAB, for example, or ICLE as well in the country that also can be, can join in the cooperation. Next. And the learning approach, we have a lot of type of models here. Like ESCAP has very good on the Mayor Academy. I know one of the Ilo is part of this as well, and also some learning exchange like through capacity building. Next. This is the peer-to-peer learning. We plan to have a several peer-to-peer learning. I think we can also include into these urban heat issues, like in line with the nature-based solution and etc. So we plan to have several partnership and technical cooperation in September. Next. So this is our learning with UCLG. You can go to the learning with UCLG. We have a lot of best practices here. Learning notes. Next. Yeah, this is peer learning. You can go to the peer learnings. Next. And this is a series of our learning notes, including nature-based solution, and also urban development, and also climate action as well. Next. Yeah, this is nature-based solution. One example is live learnings. So you can go through the mock and every local government practitioner, they can also join, contribute to this live learnings. Next. Yeah, and next, this is last. We will have a ASEAN Mayors Forum in Manila, in the Philippines, in September. I think we can also include urban heat as one of the priority in line with the ASEAN strategic development plan. I think ASEAN released ASEAN 2045 Community Vision 2045. Then it highlight as well how this region put urban heat as one of the key priority, and maybe there is a common standard in the ASEAN country dealing with the urban heat issues. Next. I think that's all that I can share. Looking forward to have more discussion. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Helmi. Really appreciate that perspective and just overview about the great work you all are doing. So our next speaker is Dr. Dinesh Arora, who is online. He is the principal health specialist, and so he's going to share a perspective from the ADB. Are you online? I believe you are.
I am. Am I audible and visible?
Yes, you're audible. Feel free to take the floor. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you. And thanks for the invitation. And I could be part of some of the discussions that were very enriching. Thanks, Avdesh, for the slides and for updating them. I just thought I'd just demystify what Asian Development Bank does. So ADB is a bank. We're a developmental bank, and we do finance developmental projects at low concessional rates to different developing member countries. So we have 68 developing member countries, 68 member countries, and about half of them are developing member, which take financing from us. Every year, annually, we do roughly about 30 to 35 billion of financing. And they are in different projects, whether it could be energy, transport, health, education, social protection, water, on all those areas which you can think about, urban. How does ADB see heat? Now, heat is seen as a challenge, which is for all the sectors. So it's multi-sectoral. And as far as health is concerned, we see this as a public health crisis. Now, the slides are self-depicting of how we see that, how many deaths are happening because of the heat, how the workforce is getting exposed to it, how the temperatures are increasing, and how the temperatures uncomforting after 35 can actually lead to much more symptoms than they are this. And how does it affect the vulnerable sections, especially the people who are working outside without protective gears? How women are affected, how the fetal outcomes, the pregnancy outcomes are affected because of the heat are also something which is the new literature is coming up. So we do deal with it as a public health crisis. So ADB roughly finances about $2 to $3 billion every year in health, depending on the average cycle of the projects. In all these, we make heat as an integral part of our climate assessment. So if you go to the next slide of this, we do see this as a part of doing a assessment of countries. What are the climate risks, including heat? Similarly, what actions are being taken, can be taken, and what actions can be part of the project, whether it's an individual level and population level. So for example, right now I'm working on projects in Mongolia, on Turkey, in Pakistan, and heat becomes part of the climate risk assessment, which we are doing, and how adaptation and mitigation can be taken off. In fact, if you go next slide, during the G20, India's G20 presidency, we came up with a climate and health initiative, which is secretariat at ADB, where we talk about 6 major framings, where sharing knowledge, sharing, having part of novel financing. How do you finance different initiatives? Forging partnerships, incubating innovations, capacity building, and championing advocacy. The idea is to have garner some funds, which are more of in the form of a technical assistance or grants. So the loans are the terms which are given on financing terms, but some of the technical assistance and grants are on without any ramifications for the government to pay back. So we have roughly about 10 million right now for different facets of climate and health, which are working right now in Asian Development Bank, and heat is one of them. Next, please. So in fact, in last year, we conducted a Bellagio convening, and heat was our theme there. And actually, the heat stands for acronym of Health Sector Adaptation Strategies. E stands for enablers, A stands for architectonics, and T for technology and tools. We were trying to see how health can be one of the major providers for heat implementation framework, how it could be one of the way of reaching out and providing some mitigation on heat related risks. So each of these have 4 or 5 major framings. For example, for the first pillar of heat sector adaptation strategies, we talk about health sector adaptation, whether how to deal with seasonal surges or how do you deal with strengthening the triage systems in the emergencies, referral pathways. So the medical component of this. The second is the medical education and training, not only for the doctors or the frontline workers, but even to the community, to the vulnerable populations, and how timely interventions are useful. Then the community action on such like identifying such high risk individuals, outreaching to them, risk communication, and supporting hydration and protective behaviors. And finally, the emergency preparedness, which is linked to the part of the integrated heat as a disaster risks. So this is about the H framework, and we have a lot of things written there. Then E is the enablers, like for example, what could help us in doing these things? And those could be either the early warning systems, which is central, linked with the meteorological data, how equity-driven policies could be made part of, especially reaching out to the low-income communities who work outside, women, informal workers, which are to be prioritized. Financing, how do you finance all such activities? And of course, the institutional coordination. A stands for architectonics, such as majorly like the built environment, whether it's in the urban heat island spaces or on the design stage, passive cooling, nature-based solution, or even settlement-based interventions, which could be beyond the emergency measures. And T stands for technology and tools, like what tools could be used, maybe artificial intelligence or predictive analysis, integrating health data, which can be used for actionables, mobile alerts, telehealth platforms, decision support systems, smart supply chain systems, and other things. So the idea here was how do you convert a public health crisis like heat into a practical roadmap for cities, combining health systems, enabling policies, climate sensitive urban designs, and digital innovation to move from what you called as risk identification to coordinated, scalable heat health action. So as part of this, we have developed, and can you go next slide, urban heat toolkit. Then we also have a gender responsive next heat action. We have gone ahead and developed AI, telehealth, and risk communication platforms. We have done some knowledge worship. In fact, I have a colleague who actually is in the practice team and working a lot on the heat side of the things. Can you go next, please? Next. So this is something on the telehealth risk communication from the front line, which we have done. These tools are available online. Can you go next? We do look for partnerships. We do look for how do we have a meaningful impact. And I think I will end by saying, can you go next, on some of the challenges which we face as we move forward. The most important thing is, how do you come forward with a bankable project? Can you go next on the last slide, Avdesh? If there are projects, we haven't come across where cities are actually very keen to just work and take financing only for urban resilience. There have been some instances, but not many. We have been working with Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, Philippines, Indonesia, and we understand the priorities, but there are a lot of competing priorities. As Asian Development Bank, we do sovereign financing through national governments. We also work with state governments, and now we have started working with the municipal cities also. Bio-waste management plant or the roads traffic systems are all part of what we are starting to do this. So we would like to see much more involvement, engagement with the city governments. I was happy to see the previous presentation. There's a network of cities which we can go ahead. We are also wary that the stability and decision making and continuity is much less at the city level as compared to national level. But I think these are things which is work in progress. So we will love to engage and see how cross-sector financing can be made part of the urban resilient ecosystem. We can come up with some of the technical assistance and knowledge products and do, in fact, a regional convening if required on these. Happy to see that, in September, there is in Manila, Philippines, where we are headquartered at, and let us know how we can associate and support these developments. The idea is, how do you take these pilot interventions, which we are doing through small technical assistance, into a impactful, meaningful scale, which can support mitigation and support people at every step. I'll stop here and happy to discuss further. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Those are really great comments and insights. And so now we'll move on to the discussion portion of the event. For the session, are there any immediate questions from anyone on the floor to either of our speakers? Oh, yes, I see a question.
It's not a question, it's just a sharing from Hong Kong experience. So actually in Hong Kong, our government initiated a panel so they can arrange this kind of coordination among the different government agencies and also the departments, so they can have a joint effort and also let everyone on the same page to deal with such kind of climate change related hazard, resilience, adaptation, etc. I think that could be sharing with other cities. The second one is I totally agree with your point about the political agenda. So it really depends on the mayor, their office, whether they put the climate change on their agenda. For example, in Hong Kong, although our government mentioned the climate change many times, but in 2023, because we have a Black Rain event, and suddenly they changed this, they put this item on the political agenda for that year. And so definitely, I totally agree how to convince the governors, the city mayor, and by this. And the third point is the investment in the infrastructure could be huge. the numbers could be very, very big. So in Hong Kong, our government, they calculate and estimate this kind of infrastructure investment according to the climate change projection, the scenario SSP 2.5 to 4.5, i.e. the median situation for climate change emission. However, they leave a certain potential capacity for future this kind of challenge, i.e. If in case in future they have this kind of beyond the expectation, this kind of extreme happened, so they still have a capacity to deal with that. So that is why I think for the current government, they may not have enough financial situation to deal with this kind of things, but they still can consider certain kind of potential capacity or flexibility for coping the future challenges. So that is my sharing. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for that. We have another comment. Feel free.
Yeah. Thank you, Hilmi, and thank you, Dr. Dinesh. This is Imani Kumar from ICLA ICLI. Very important discussion. I'm happy that we are all convened here, and I'm happy to know that there are a lot of best practices available across the table here. Actually, a lot of experts working in various cities. Slightly differ on your point, maybe in Hong Kong, but a lot of city governments, city mayors are really looking for support on the heat front, even in Southeast Asia or in South Asia, or even in East Asia. Actually, I was talking to ADB colleagues in China also, there in Korea and China. They are also looking for how do we address these issues on that. So I think this is the correct time, thanks to ESCAP for bringing together all these experts and best practices. And because I know that everybody has their own solution, or everybody is working in their own area, select area. But if we can come together and share these best practices, share these tools, and share these methodologies, I think what each one of us are working on, if we can offer this to whoever it is, whichever city or whichever mayor is interested to take it forward, and hopefully Dr. Dinesh said that he has some funds so he can support on financial front to the cities to implement these activities on that. So my suggestion here is maybe as a roundtable, I think what you have said, Matthew, and other ESCAP colleagues, if we can, as a communities of practice or something, like if we can follow up after this discussions, and specifically we can offer to through a platform or whichever platform we want to create, or if we use the existing platforms. APLP cities is one thing which we have, all of us are part of there in that, and especially create this, because I think the heat and health is the major outcomes coming up in everywhere, every part of the world, not just only south or north. Actually, it's not like as a disaster it is going to come on that. So we as an ICLI, we are happy to participate in that type of platform and see how we can support those cities. And one last point from my side is, I know I have taken a little bit of notes, but there are a lot of tools also available, which some of them have, especially the professor from on the NBS thing also talked about, and our colleagues on the buildings. So can we make available these tools for the cities or practitioners in this region? I don't know. Maybe some of you have your own issues on these tools, but if we can make them available through a platform, and somebody can take it forward and use them on that. Yeah, I'll just stop here. Thank you.
Alex, may I raise a point, please?
Yes.
This is specifically for Sir Helmi and Dr. Dinesh, but anyone can also pitch in. I did notice that in one of the slides, sir, you pointed out that it is important that we are able to mobilize a behavior change, not just awareness raising. And that's one point. And that critical to local governance is not only what we learned, no? Is that critical to local governance is not only the role of mayors and leaders, but the other stakeholders. No? So coming from the National Resilience Council that actually promotes public-private people partnership in the city of Iloilo, for example, we've been really trying hard, to build those capacities. But a lot of our local governments, they're trying their best, to improve on governance, but it's too much weight to carry it themselves, and that's why we always advocate for a whole of society approach. So my question for Dr. Dinesh and Mr. Helmi, Dr. Helmi, is that if in your programs and projects, are there windows of opportunities? Because many of the projects that are considered bankable, they're either infrastructure projects or something like that. Do you also invest in behavior change pathways or approaches that will enable people to really become an active part of the solution rather than just depending on the government system to do things for themselves? Okay, thank you.
If I can come first, yeah, absolutely. Wonderful question. In fact, behavior change is one of the important capacity building exercise which ADB takes. Let me give an example from my other project in Meghalaya in India. It's a northeastern state in India, where we are doing behavior change of fathers, of how they should also contribute in taking care of a child, which is right now being seen as primarily a job of a mother. So we have come across with the time poverty studies. We are planning to see, and we do actually invite parents, especially the fathers, to come and drop their children to daycare centers. Just giving an example that behavior change is an important element for most of the projects of Asian Development Bank. And we will be very happy to work with somebody who works in our area of interest. Just to be mindful that we are a regional bank, we work in Asia Development Bank, especially those countries which take financing from us. But happy to discuss offline. The crux is yes, behavior change is an important component. In fact, during APVAX, we did a lot of behavior change measures at Nepal, in India, Sri Lanka, when the vaccine hesitancy was scaling up for the COVID vaccine. So for most products, when we are looking for sustainability, the behavior change is a key for the long-term sustainability and durability of a project. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Jessica, for sure that based on our past project experience, dealing with the local government and also engagement with the various stakeholders is very crucial because when we build the kind of long-term vision and also implementation, then we always stress up the process engagement with multi-stakeholders. Like when we develop, like in some cities in Asia Pacifics, we have supported several cities, not only in Indonesia, but also in various countries like Vietnam, Thailand, also Malaysia, when they develop any kind of strategy or climate related documents. Then first, we always, like establish the process of engagement, multi-stakeholder engagement, and also formalize the process within the system of the government itself. Then include the most vulnerables or marginalized community. That's the basics, from every projects or pilot that we have been doing. And particularly when we talk about behavior change in the community level, there is several examples. Like for example, we during the COVID-19, we supported one of the city in Indonesia, in Yogyakarta, when they we facilitate the urban farming's process, and also when we channels the local government platform and also the community platforms through this kind of the most vulnerable or community society and a women group, marginalized group, that I think it triggers a lot of change in terms of uh, the process and also communication between governments and community, and also through the process of engagement. I think that's the examples that I can give it to you. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Yeah. Well, great. Thank you so much for those interventions. I think this discussion is really worthwhile, and thank you to our speakers. And definitely noted on exploring further developing the community practice, and as well as exploring a platform to host some of the items that were discussed, as well as sharing of tools and resources. I think it's really important to do that, especially for addressing this big challenge. And then also noted on really that behavior change piece. And so my colleague Matthew has a few announcements before we close.
Thanks very much. Appreciate all of the active participation, and in particular the recommendation on keeping a community of practice going, which we take note of. We've been looking to try some new and innovative things for the UN. One of which being we know that these are very key topics for your cities and subject areas, and people really want to highlight those. So we will be creating and distributing some little draft social media tiles that you can use if you wish to circulate amongst your network to highlight your participation in the meeting. We'll get those out to you later today, and along with the circulation of the meeting report very shortly. Additionally, we will be offering taking some little video interviews with you to use in the outreach work that we do moving forward on this issue of extreme heat. So with your indulgence, we'll pull some of you from the lunchtime to have a little 3-5 minute video interview. And if you're particularly interested in being included in that, please come see me, and I'll make sure you're added to the list for people to be interviewed. And so that concludes the housekeeping announcements. Back over to you, Alex.
Great. Thank you so much. So I want to thank all the speakers and the moderators, as well as the participants, for your active engagement over the last 2 days. We covered a lot. And so as part of the reflections, I was wondering if I can call on 1 or 2 people to sort of tell me what was 1 or 2 points that really stuck out to you. If anyone would like to raise their hand.
I will not get in the details, but what I understood it, we don't need to reinvent the wheel every time. There's a lot of information out there, and we can share the information, and you have won the race. You're halfway into the race already. So like I heard from Hong Kong, then yesterday from Bangladesh, Cox's Bazar, and other places as well, India. So there are a lot of examples, and there are a lot of interdisciplinary learnings that helped. So there are lots of points which I've noted. I have like almost 4 pages of notes. So it's difficult to boil it down, but a really good learning experience. And thank you to all the speakers and moderators and everyone. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. That's really well noted. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'm also very happy to join this meeting. I enjoy the talks a lot, and also I sent some emails also. And I would like to say it's a high time to work together, especially for the Southeast Asia, the Asia countries. We have to find our own way out because there's no direct lesson can learn from the European countries or American countries because of we have a very special, unique this kind of culture, the tropical climate background, and also our own system. Yeah, so let's work together. Thank you.
The role of the local government unit cannot be overly emphasized, and these collaborations and talks that we have has opened so many windows of opportunity, though we do need to be site-specific on our interventions. But again, the local governments who are in touch with the people down below should take up the leadership in doing so.
Maybe I just make one more point. Institutionalization is something which is very important at the urban local body level. So we need to look at those documents and notifications which needs to go out, and we need to embed this heat or urban heat island or related interventions properly into the building bylaws or planning control rules and other things. So probably those document and institutionalization can lead to more impact than looking at only champions to deliver it.
Just I wanted some words that on behalf of the Cox's Bazar Development Authority. We are very pleased to attend this workshop, and we learn a lot of things from the best practices in the world. But I just want to seek your support. That is, the Cox's Bazar is very new, and in case of heat absorption or nature-based solution, in Bangladesh, yeah, we are trying to plant trees, but yes, obviously we should follow the best practices in the world. So whenever you actually draft guidelines or policy or anything else in the world, and that's best practice that's best suited in the tropical countries like Thailand or Philippines or even in India or Jakarta, just you should you may share it with Cox's Bazar Development Authority and other cities so that we can share it also to learn some, the informative ideas and other things from the other part of the world, and we'll this really benefited from this workshop. Thank you so much.
So I agree with the many points of raised today. So from on behalf of the GISTA, we are very welcome to collaborate with our agency. Thank you.
We're very fortunate that we are here and that you have invited us in this regional training workshop. We've learned a lot from you, and most importantly, we've taken note that CSO or the civil society participation in all the strategies and innovations that were being implemented were very fruitful. There are limited resources in the government, and we need them, no, to be able to really implement good strategies or innovations that will promote or that would address urban heat, especially in our LGU. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for those reflections. It's really great to hear that the workshop was beneficial. I just wanted to follow up a little bit more about the project that we have going on and sort of the next steps. So the sort of the first pathway is that we're going to want to continue this community of practice. And the second step is that we're working very closely with Iloilo and Cox's Bazar on really strengthening the evidence base through baseline assessments, as well as developing urban heat action plans. And so we're going to be working to mobilize some resources to do that, and along working with partners. And so we're really looking forward to doing that in the next couple of months. And like I said, continue being engaged with you all in this developing community of practice. So I really appreciate your time and look forward to continuing discussions over lunch for those who are on who are in person, and also in the coming weeks and months, potentially with online roundtable events. But we'll be in communication with you all. Thank you so much. Oh, yes, and we have an evaluation form, so please feel free to scan it, and then we'll also put it in the chat for online participants. And thank you again for your participation. And the lunch will be on the 11th floor, which is just the one floor down. Thank you so much for everything.